And so this question, you touched on this a little bit in your presentation. You went over, I think it was a book or a presentation you've done, useless organs. And so evolutionists look to vestigial organs as evidence for common descent. What is the best response or counter to this argument?
Well, we have spent a lot of time researching the functions of these vestigial organs, and we found about 100 were originally proposed around 1900. And now we found all of them have a very clear, definite use. Now, it's some organs don't have as much importance as others, but that's true with all the organs in the body. And so some vestigial organs, yes, are not as important as others, which is true of all organs in the body. You can live without one kidney. You can live without one lung. I only have 1.5 lungs. And so therefore I don't have 2 full lungs. And I didn't even know that until they did an x-ray and said, hey, Bergman, you got a problem here. The one lung is about half the size of what it should be. And so I was in his 50s when I discovered that. So why didn't I know that before? Well, I guess it didn't affect you. It wasn't that. So certainly wasn't vestigial. And I can notice that I get out of breath sooner than other people because I only have 1.5 lungs. I don't have 2 complete lungs. And so I notice it now. It does affect me, but it's, as long as you're fairly healthy, it doesn't cause a problem. And so the same thing is true with all the vestigial organs. They all have a function. The function is without it, it's lethal. It's surprising that organs were labeled as vestigial, which now we know are necessary for life in the long run, and therefore, and some in the short run. And therefore, you'll find some are not as critical as others, but they all have a function. And so therefore, the vestigial organ, which of course Darwin called that rudimentary organs. They're rudiments of what they used to be. And that's a judgment which has a problem. So vestigial basically has no function. And as a result, we now know it was a mistake to assume they had no function, because what we should have done is look for the function. And we indeed in time have done that and found they have a function, and that helps us understand the body. But the claim that, vestigial has no function is again a research blocker. It turns off research, and we don't want to turn off research. We want to ask, what does it do instead? It doesn't do anything because it's vestigial, which is the information blocker. So that's one of the first areas I became interested in. And I wrote a book, 1970 something, and on vestigial organs. And that's been around for a long time, and there's lots of copies.
And they're still using it. You've been destroying vestigial organs as a line of evidence for evolution for years, Jerry. They're still using it. And so have they revised history in a way, historical revisionism? What I mean by that is now they'll say, well, the definition of vestigial organ is not necessarily no function. It can be a repurposed function. Maybe it's or an added, the addition of a function. Is this what how they've always defined it?
That is one way they get around the problem. But the problem is, though, that a lot of these organs, they said, had no use. And of course, so now they have a use. Right. They don't have an important use, or they don't have a use as they had in the past. So they're claiming, well, this organ did this and this and this in the past, but today it doesn't do those things. And so therefore it is less useful. And again, it's pretty clear that some don't have an important function, but that's beside the point. But by and large, I think this is where they really have egg on their face. And many evolutionists realize by putting the label vestigial on them, that made us make a mistake, because it didn't encourage us to look into the function of that organ. And that's what we need to focus on.
Are wisdom teeth vestigial?
No, it's a humorous one when people say, what do they do? Well, they chew food.
Yeah.
Like all the other teeth.
Simple.
No, they have a very important function. In fact, they used to assume they were a problem and they pull them out for no reason. Now they know that they need to be saved. And so now you have an impacted tooth. Well, it doesn't look too bad. Maybe they'll come in straight. Let's give you some painkillers. Let's deal with the pain. And this, hopefully they'll come in straight, because they are very useful teeth. In fact, if you have a problem with other teeth, the wisdom teeth will allow an anchoring point to help other teeth straighten out or heal properly. And so therefore now the the dental theory is you save those teeth as much as possible. Now, if they're really impacted, they're serious, they're coming in at a 45-degree angle and they should be coming in at a 90-degree angle. Yeah, they may have to be taken out, but that's another problem. That usually is a problem with our diet. They sent dentists over to Solomon Islands and other places trying to help them with their teeth. And they found, ironically, almost nobody in these places had problematic wisdom teeth. And
Wow.
they realized the difference is the diet between our diet and their diet. Most of our food, it's baby food. Most of the food is pureed in such a way where you can almost drink it. And chewing is pretty minimal. But in these islands where they had no problem with wisdom teeth, they had to chew their food pretty aggressively in order to break down the food and swallow it. And therefore, they found that chewing strengthened the jaw, lengthened the jaw, and made it less likely that they would have problems with the wisdom teeth. So probably the main problems today for most of us are simply, our diet. That's a problem. And of course, there's some genetic. Some people just have small jaws, and therefore, yeah, they're going to have a problem. And so that has nothing to do with a vestigial organ argument. That's true with other issues as well.
Could that be a form of devolution or degeneration, where in the past maybe our pre-flood ancestor had bigger jaws, stronger jaws, and so now people with smaller jaws, they can't handle the wisdom teeth?
That's a good point, and that's I think that's not only our de-evolution, our degeneration, but also our culture, our eating food that doesn't need much chewing, and therefore that's several reasons.
So is this similar to tonsils? Because I know when I was growing up as a kid, it seemed like everybody was getting their tonsils removed, but not as many people are getting their tonsils removed now. It's like they realize they're more important than they thought. Is that true, Jerry?
The number has plummeted. I don't have the data in front of me, but it was like, I don't know, 80% or 60% used to have tonsillectomies, and now it's like 2 out of 1,000 or 2 out of 500. So it's really plummeted enormously. It has so because we realize the tonsils are there. They're there for an important reason, and having their removal can cause and does cause problems, especially when you get older. So now they try to save it. Tonsillitis problems, antibiotics. Let's try that. Let's try. If that doesn't work, then we'll think about removal. But we're not going to look at removal until we first of all try a good load of strong antibiotics, and that usually takes care of it. And so therefore, tonsillectomies used to be the most common surgical operation in children, and now it's one of the rarest operations in children.
Isn't it amazing how evolutionary philosophy over the years, Jerry, has really harmed scientific advancement? It's hindered science. Now we're catching up with the creation mindset that there actually is function and use and purpose to these structures and organs.
Good point, and that's what I focus on. Most creationists do not focus on this, so I was told a long time ago, if you want to publish, you need to get a niche. You can't put an article out where 37 articles exist on the same topic. You've got to cover an area that's not covered or rarely covered. And so I decided 30 years ago, I'm going to focus on areas that the vast majority of creationists don't cover. And so when I have a proposal for a book, they always ask, what's your competition? What books are even close to what you're writing? And I can usually say 0. There is no competition. And that helps a lot in getting a book published, because they don't want your book to be the 38th book that covers the same topic.
Right.
They want to publish a book that is unique, or at least in many ways is unique. And I've had really good success in publishing my books because, well, they're all unique. When I point out that there's no competition, 0 competition, like my book on the dark side of Charles Darwin, there's no competition, nothing. And so therefore, it has a niche. And so you need to write in areas that have a niche. And I have a social science background, a historical background. One of my minors in college was history. And so therefore, I can cover these areas where other professors are not as comfortable covering if they have only science background. Or I have a social science as well as historical background. And I used to teach in both those areas. And so therefore, I have a good background in those areas, and therefore I can enjoy writing, and it's just a niche. And why should I have proposed my own theory of the flood?
Right.
Too many out there already, and I would have to start off from square one. I'm not a geologist, and I'm not a cinematologist, and I'm not a person with a background in that area to write about those topics. So I focus on what I know a lot about and what I've had interest. A lot of interest in World War II and Adolf Hitler, and written 3 books and several hundred articles dealing with Hitler. In fact, just one of my articles that was recently accepted deals with the problems that Darwinism has caused in society. And so that's an interest of mine, and I find a lot of people are interested. And that's why I think my Darwin book especially, and my Hitler book, have done really, really well of all the books I published. And so there's a niche, and you fill it.
The New and Improved Global Flood Model by Jerry Bergman. There's a future book for you.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I've got, again, several of your books behind me. C.S. Lewis. There's a unique book that nobody's written on. No good rebuttals either to it. Your books on Darwinism and your books on fossil forensics I have as well. So you've done some excellent work. And I think that's some really good wisdom, knowledge, and advice right there, Jerry. Because I like to say, especially if people ask, I want to get into creation apologetics. Where do I start? How do I proceed? And I like to say, find a need and fill it. Find a niche. Don't pick something that's already been done 30, 40, 50 times, like you said. Pick something that's not being focused on enough or being dealt with. That's why I chose to write a book on endogenous retroviruses. I realized nobody was really writing on it. There wasn't any books on it. So I found a need and I filled it, brother. And that's great advice that you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, in order to leave no stone unturned, I'd like to ask, in light of the vestigial organs argument, what are your thoughts on atavism? So slightly different. If I understand it correctly, the evolutionary interpretation or argument is that sometimes we have evolutionary traits reappear after having been lost through evolutionary change. A couple examples they point to. So babies born with so-called tails attached. And then another one is chicken teeth. Apparently some chickens are born with teeth, or maybe they're able to alter their genetics a little bit to get teeth manifested. I'm wondering what a good response to that would be, Jerry.
Yeah, I've written only a couple of articles on that area, so I have less, I guess, background in that area. But yeah, atavism is where the throwback to what an animal had eons ago. So chickens, I guess they feel evolved from animals with teeth, and therefore every now and then they show up with teeth, and so therefore that's an atavism. A lot of these are almost silly, the ones they argue, especially human atavism. And so they recognize, I think, they're silly, so they don't get very far. But on the other hand, what happens is some abnormalities can appear to be an atavism, which is not. And a good example is the hen's teeth. That is a bone deformity. But from what I recall, they're not clearly 100% teeth. They're more of a distortion of the jaw itself in the birds. Now, I may be wrong on that, but that's from what I've read, that's the assumption that they've come up with. So the tail is probably the best and most famous example. And in the vast majority of cases, these aren't tails. They don't have any nerves in them. They don't have any coccyx in them. They're typically structures which are filled full of fat, which can be not only where the tail would normally be, but also in other parts of the body, like where the neck is. And so they form these fat-filled structures form. And I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if anybody knows why, because not a concern, because just lop them off. When the baby's born and it's got a tail, the doctor just says, okay, we'll cut it off and sew it up and he'll be fine. And so it doesn't cause any major health problems. So it's probably hard to get money to do research on why the tails develop, but because they're not a problem. And I know I've looked at quite a bit of knowledge, quite a few studies on the so-called atavistic tails, and most of them are not such. The few that are could be an abnormality in the os coccyx, which causes it to grow farther than it normally should. And I guess there's a few rare cases which do have nerves and are connected to the spinal cord. And so they would be more likely to be atavistic tails. But on the other hand, they are rare, and there are other explanations. Most likely a deformity, which causes it. Which surgical removal, it's no problem.
Now, for sake of argument, I'm just wondering about the so-called chicken teeth. Someone in the chat said what they did was mutated a gene or a set of genes and manifested teeth. But from a creationist perspective and model, Jerry, would it be accurate to say that in the pre-flood world, maybe immediate post-flood world, because we do find some birds in the geologic rock strata, like Archaeopteryx being one of them, that do have teeth. And so if we're able to genetically manipulate chicken DNA to manifest teeth, wouldn't that just be evidence, again, of de-evolution or degeneration, where some birds once had teeth, then they lost them, but they still have the DNA for those teeth present?
Yeah, that could well be. I would like to look carefully at the teeth themselves.
Right.
Ensure that they indeed are teeth, have the structures of teeth, because teeth are complex structures. Although in birds, I don't know. Maybe the teeth are really not teeth as we understand teeth. Maybe they're just projections from the gum. Hardcore. I know some animals that is, quote, their teeth is just the gum has hard sections in it, which allows them to roughly chew food up, but they're not like teeth in humans. And so that could be what's going on, that they're just structures that are kind of like hard gums, which does fine for their diet, but for humans would not do fine for our diet. And many animals would not do fine. So that could be. Maybe that's an area I have to look into it sometime.
If only we have unlimited time, right?